parents actually saw all along that I wanted to like study medicine. I can remember and I can't forget that scene. 8:30 Monday morning. Then my dad said, "Do you even know that you've not told me the class you're going to?" Then I told him that I want to study French.
He just paused, like, what's
exactly
happening?
like I've been shocked that wait, French, how, where is this coming from? My dad did something, gave me lots of career books. I think maybe about 5 or 7.
Oh wow.
He gave me. I said, give me a week to go think about my decision. The thing about my parents is that they acknowledge the place of God in our purpose. So as when he told me to go and read those things and pray, he and my mom too were actually praying.
Hello and welcome to Happy Conversations, where we have conversations around the theme of hope, art, progress, and insight. On this episode of Happy Conversations, I interview my friend and guest, Ibukun Aderobi, about her time in university. I asked her questions about how she was able to come up with a 4.86 GPA as a language student and how she was able to combine her social life, her academics, her spiritual growth, and every other thing she was able to accomplish while on campus. I hope you find this conversation insightful. I will see you in the rest of the episode.
So, Sally, Hamadro, Badura, Ibukun.
Please don't start with your language first.
And it's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much. I wanted to ask now that how were you even able to choose French? Because that is interesting. I feel like you already knew you wanted French from GS3.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people have that idea. But I think this would be instructive. Hopefully, aside from undergraduates, hopefully those that are not undergraduates get to listen to this conversation. But how were you able to choose that? Like, you were really sure, and you were like, you had to convince your parents, even though it wasn't like so rosy, but you had to like, this is what I want to do.
Okay, so I would say that right from when I was young, I wanted to be a doctor. Yeah, I really wanted to. And then, the society creates a standard for families in a way that, I mean, there are certain professions, or there are certain professions that are considered to be noble. So when you talk about being a lawyer, being a doctor, and then being an accountant, I mean, those were the major
engineer.
Points. Yeah. Oh yes, and being an engineer too. So my brother wanted to study engineering, or he was already studying engineering. Yeah, I was already studying engineering then. My eldest brother too was studying law. So I mean, the next thing was, let the next person just study medicine, right? So, and I really wanted it, and I also had some health challenges at that young age of mine that really made me know the value of doctors. So I told myself that no, really, I really want to do this for more people and also save lives. But when I got to GSS3, I needed to choose my path.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking about it. Though before then, I already knew that I just had the notion that I was made for more. I knew that I wasn't just a common lady or a common child.
Had you come in contact with DDK that time?
No,
because I know
I didn't come in contact with DDK.
Okay, anyway, that's a distraction. Bro.
Yeah, I didn't come in contact with DDK until 2020. But I would really say that my parents played a huge role in my upbringing and in our upbringing, basically. So I would say that they really, really did so well. So as at that young age, I already knew, and then they really saw us in the way of God. God really speaking to you, and you really know in the heart of God.
And like you guys had this self-confidence, like, I am made for more.
Exactly.
Like what you were saying, I'm like, that's beautiful.
So as at that young age, I knew. And then when I got to GSS3, I needed to choose. Right. So was it still medicine or what exactly? So I compared all my options, and actually I was like an all-rounder. Like if I wanted to go for,
you could fit in
anywhere. But then I was good in all subjects, but I was not interested in the chemistry aspect of basic science. Okay. Then then I mean it wasn't split. You had just basic science. Then in basic science you have the biology aspect, the physics and chemistry.
Yeah.
I wasn't really interested. I did not like the chemistry aspect. It wasn't that I didn't get it. As a matter of fact, my mom is a chemistry and a mathematics teacher.
So you always see all those things at home and all.
Yeah, so I mean, she would even like put me through, and so I did not have issues with it. But it wasn't just I wasn't just interested, and I didn't see myself do it for a long time. I didn't see myself doing it for a long time. So I told myself that no, once chemistry is out, it means that science class was actually out. I was okay with biology, but that made science class out. And I thought about it. Okay, if I would go to the arts, what would it be? A lawyer? No, I was not interested in that. And I thought about it. Okay, if I want to like try to go into the commercial class, being an accountant. I was good with business studies and all of that, but it wasn't just a thing I saw myself like doing on the long run. And then I just knew that I loved French as I then.
Wow.
Yeah. And one of the things I would say that parents should watch out for is that, or even students, is that what you would eventually become or what you will eventually do, or your purpose may not be in terms of the subject you know best, or better still, the subject you score the highest marks in.
Okay.
So, because for instance, I would say that as at then, I would get A's in French, right? But the digits of the A might not be as high as mathematics or English or basic science, right? Even though I knew French then, yeah, but that was like my interest. And when I was in the SS class, I was getting higher marks in other subjects. Sometimes I would get a B in French, but that was really what I wanted to do. You get? So I just had that interest. I had interest in two subjects. I felt like, if it remained only these two subjects in the world, I think I would go for them. And they were French and music. So as at then, I was even thinking that okay, I think I'll find a way to like merge these two together. And then as at then too, I had to pray about it and really want to know what God wanted me to do. Right? So I was like, okay, what's the next thing? Okay, I'll go for French. And something also helped me. And what helped me was that I had a little introduction to French when I was younger. My dad, during his formative years, studied in Cameroon. His dad was a priest, so they went for mission work. Yeah, so he at in Cameroon then. So he had few French textbooks that I would always like go through.
Yeah, so you're already like
so I was interested in it, and then my teacher, and I'll say that my teacher in GSS1 played a very important role because that was my first contact with the language. She made the language easy. She was friendly, unlike what many people actually say about French teachers. So she made it very easy for me. The teacher I had in GS2, GS3 also did well, but it wasn't like the one I had in GSS1. But that push or that motivation in GSS1 really caught my attention.
I think one thing I wanted to ask as well, like diverting away from, because you are very passionate about French. Okay. But then I would like to ask now, how were you able to study French in uni?
Yes.
Okay, because I know you studied Portuguese and French.
Yes.
Okay, how was that for you? Because you already love French, but now you now are now introduced to another language entirely, and you still came out tops. Like, how did that happen? Was there any challenge on the way?
Definitely. Okay, so I think I would round up the whole choosing French before I get into Portuguese.
Okay, that's fine.
So as I decided, but my parents never knew because my parents actually saw all along. I wanted to like study medicine with my grandpa, my family members. So I wanted to go for summer coaching. We finished the term on I think Thursday or Friday. Summer coaching was to start on Monday. So when it was 8:30, I can remember and I can't forget that scene. 8:30 Monday morning. I just went to go to my parents and I was like, I was going for summer coaching. Then my dad said, do you even know that you've not told me the class you are going to? Then I told him that I want to study French. And then, he didn't. I knew it was.
He just paused. Like what's
exactly
happening?
It was like, do you know you never told me? So at that stage, I knew myself because I knew myself that they would have been shocked that wait, French, how where is this coming from?
Dr. French,
right? So my dad did something. So he would give me a week. gave me lots of career books. I think maybe about
Okay.
5 or 7.
Oh
He
wow.
gave me and said he'd give me a week to go think about my decision, and that during the weekend I should come back to tell him what I wanted to do. And then after the weekend, I told him.
We're
And
still
then
French.
yeah, and then but the thing I would really say about my parents is that they acknowledge the place of God in our purpose. So as at when he told me to go and read those things and pray, he and my mom too were actually praying.
Oh wow.
So they really really like took God all along our journeys, and I think that was that. So now let me come to how I came in contact with Portuguese, because I never thought that I was going to like do Portuguese in the university. So I came in and it was even surprising because I didn't know that in the department there is a non-beginners and the beginners in French.
Okay.
I mean, and the non-beginners are people who did French in their whole levels, whose results shows French. And then so I came in, I even thought I would be a beginner. I mean, so I felt like I was going to like be in class with people who did not even know French at all. But I mean, I had more of a different curriculum and all of that. So I realized that you had to like choose a minor language which you could combine with at the end of the day. So, and I knew that no, I'm just a person that I always just want to like maximize the
Every opportunity.
every opportunity I have. So I was like, if I can combine two languages, I mean, what it needs, what I need to do is just like really, I mean, put in my best into it and all of that. So I had to choose either German or Portuguese. And that was another thing. So I was thinking, actually, I would really start. Many people told me to choose German, but they felt like, okay, German has a lot of opportunities. You get this, you get this, you get that, and all of that. But I attended the German class just like have an idea. I attended the Portuguese class just to have an idea. I would say that for the German class, it wasn't that I wouldn't have gotten German, and it wasn't that I couldn't say I've like graduated with first class with German, right? But my heart tweeted more with Portuguese. And so I prayed about it. Because I knew that no, I can't just like go into any language without carrying God along. So I prayed about it. And I just knew that God wanted me to go for Portuguese. Even though it was against the wish of
a lot of
certain people, I just went along with it. And that was how I combined with Portuguese. And when I was in part 3, I cannot forget, it was on the Wednesday, I was sitting in class. I can remember where exactly I was sitting then. I chose a course, PRT 206, and God told me why exactly He brought me to language. So I felt like God knew what He wanted me to do, and so the best way for Him to have brought me in was through French, because that was like the nearest opportunity that I had when I was in secondary school, and then when I got to university, I combined with it. So after I combined, I mean, I spent it was now 5 years instead of 4, and I was ready to like go hard for it. I was like, okay, this is what I wanted to do. I mean, I was actually ready to go for it.
You were talking about the fact that when you were entering school, it was a challenge. Like it was not all rosy. But then I'm really interested in how you were able to go about Debbie's art as a healing therapy.
Okay.
Were you an exco?
No.
Like church activities?
I was actually involved in church.
Okay, but not like serious like exco.
Not serious with church.
Okay, sorry. Excuse the expression. Okay, but how were you able to combine? Let's start with business. Like, how were you able to combine business? Did you start Debbie's art before school, or how was that for you?
For me, okay, so I would say that age 12, age 12, 13 for me was really a defining year. That was when I was in DSS 3. Yeah, it was really, really a defining. That was 12, 13. It was really a defining year for me, and that was when I started bidding. That was when I started bidding. However, when I wanted to enter school, I knew that I was not going to go into business, because I knew that
your plans.
Yeah, exactly. Like I was like, no, business and this first class not go together, right? So I told myself then that business was just going to like be aside, and then in part 1 I could like, because it was just a thing I loved, so like few times I could just like make few key holders and all of that. But in part 2, it was in part 2 that I started Debbie's Heart.
Okay.
And what made me start it? I started it because I needed an artwork I was living in the hostel, but I had a very, very boring space. And then I knew that I needed something to just make me lively. I know I would go very early in the morning, come back late at night. There was nothing to like encourage me in my room. Everywhere was just dull.
Yeah, I remember alumni hall.
Yeah, right.
It's
So
just choked up.
so I told myself that I needed something to like just brighten my space up. I told myself I needed an artwork, and then I was like, I cannot afford an artwork. Like, how much was my allowance then? And all of that. So I told myself I was going to make an artwork myself. I was like, my expressions is big. So I told myself I was actually going to make an artwork complete. So that was
To
how
just
it
liven
started.
up your space.
Exactly. But during that time, I could not make the artwork immediately. So I just made flowers and then I decorated it. So what I do or what I did then was for business, basically was that I maximized some of my holidays for business. So for instance, immediately after exams, I started making those artworks. And so I was able to like make I think about three or so before I
School
left.
resumed.
Yeah, before exactly. So I wasn't like fully in business in school. And in part two, so I remember that I started baking, but I had my rules. Like
Wow,
I yeah,
wow, that's amazing.
I do not bake during the week. Like I can take orders during weekends, but I don't bake during the week. So those were a few of the rules I had, and then I shifted more of the things I did towards holidays. So the thing was that after immediately after exams, I just like get into it, do everything I want to do, and then just like maximize it. So many people actually feel like yes, I was able to do more, but I really maximized my breaks. Same thing for even for H.T 4.0. I jumped into it immediately I was done with my defense. I was already like beginning to plan, but I really jumped into it. I didn't do it while I was in school actively. You get so it was a lot on my part because it was more or less like I continued to work and work and work, or I maximized more of the breaks other than I did still a little, just a little during school time, but I didn't really let it affect it. And then I didn't create publicity because I knew that if I had created publicity, I would have had more orders. I would not be able to cater for, and I wouldn't have been able to fit into my academic schedule. So I just only people who knew what I did and tell me to okay, make this for them, make that for them, and I also and then it was also a way for me to really cool myself down. So it's just more of an art therapy for me. So when I'm down and all of that, one of the ways or when I'm sick, one of the ways I recuperate well is is by making an artwork. So if you feel like I make artworks during school, it's actually because it actually has a reason. So and then I could just decide to make it during a weekend or the time that I'm free. So
Wow. I think I want you to also talk about how you were able to combine school with like being involved in church activities. Because I think it's really important. We are children of God and God is priority as well.
yeah.
As much as we came to school, the major priority is for academics. But I want you to please talk about that just for those that need to hear it.
Okay. I would say that there is always a place of wisdom and there's a place of common sense. God has given us
That was a little sarcastic.
I mean,
but anyway.
I would say that God has given us common sense.
Yeah.
Right. And there are certain things that God will do his part and God expects you to do your part. You know, sometimes I tell people that sometimes God is in heaven and he's shaking his head for us because I feel like sometimes you overdo. And when I'm talking about myself, I'm not saying that because I underdid. You know, I would say that when serving God for me is a priority, I would say serving God for me is a priority than even my academics. Right. But if you see the number of hours I put into my academics, I feel like if you wait with another person, it's like you cannot like. So what I did then, when I wanted to enter school, I told myself that I wanted to be a silent worker in church. I told myself that I didn't want to like be known. I told myself that I wanted to like just act underground. When I came in, I realized that there were certain things I needed to do and all of that. And so there were certain times I was like being forefront, but there was something I just did. I planned my time. And then you need to know that you cannot attend every single program. For me, I attended both a church and a fellowship, so it was even more on my part.
Wow.
Yes. So I had church in the morning, I had fellowship in the afternoon. Right. During the week too, my church had programs, my fellowship had programs. So what did I do? I had to like just plan myself. So I go to church. Church for me was constant. I would go to church. I would go for Bible studies. On Tuesdays, I would go for Bible study in my fellowship. On Wednesdays, I would go for Bible study in my church.
Wow.
So I was able to like, at least do those. And then on Thursday too, I would go for evangelism, right? And then I'll come for workers meeting. I do other things I need to like do in church and all of that. But I would say like it was really in the place of planning. And then I don't go for every single program. Once I know that particular program would affect my academics, then I would not. And personally, I do not. There is people need to understand that knowing God is different from being religious. I must say that I'm not saying that you should not serve God. I mean, I serve God, and I would say that when I even got to part 4, part 5, I served God more than I had served God.
Like by way of
Right?
like the
I
activities you
mean,
made that you did
yes,
and
yes.
all.
I mean, as regards church now, like I did more, you get. But you need to really understand that place of balance. And another thing I also did for myself was that apart I had this mentality that I did not have time. And I feel like it helped me a lot. So on Sundays, I know that okay, yes, I go to church, go to fellowship. What are the things I have to do? I have to like edit certain videos. I have to like upload certain things. I have to do this, plan certain schedules and all of that. So I plan so time I would do use for church work, and I try to as much as possible do everything I need to do at that time. If not, I'll be able to, I will if not, I will just like shift it into the week and then plan the times I need to do that. Then I go back to my academics. And one of the things I also did was I'd always tell God, God, I'm faithful with your work. I do your work with my whole heart, with my whole strength, and I trust you to also be faithful in my academics. So if I mean for some people don't feel like the way I was like very active in church, I shouldn't have been good in my academics. But it was also in the place of me also putting extra effort because I wanted to like really serve God, and because I didn't want to slack in my academics, I needed to put more effort. I needed to do more overnight. I needed to like I mean part 5 I wasn't really staying in my hostel and all of that. So I feel like it's really in the place of knowing where you've been called and then knowing how to balance things. For instance, I was more committed to my church than my fellowship. I didn't take any position in my fellowship. I mean, I knew that God called me more to my church, and I just have to like explain to them over there. So I didn't take both roles because there was no way I could have taken both roles, and I would have been effective in both because services and activities would be clashing. And I didn't want a situation where you feel like I'm not committed here or I'm not committed. I prefer to be committed in a place. I know that yes, this is what I'm doing. I know that yes, I'm delivering my best here. And then I know that yes, I'm really serving God with my whole heart, and I'm not like feeling guilty of not doing my best in 2 different places. And as well, so I also planned my time. So
Okay,
I would say
because I
that
feel
that
like,
really helped me.
oh, sorry. I think because yours was quite um special, I would say, because like
Yeah,
having a fellowship and
and in
church you're
church,
committed to,
yeah.
but you were like priorities
Yes,
helped a
and then
lot.
I allowed each party, or don't let me say each party, I allowed the authorities in both fellowships like no.
To be aware
Yes,
of
so
what you do.
for instance in church, they know that I attend a fellowship, and so on Tuesdays in church I do not attend church. They know that on Tuesdays I go for the fellowship. Then on Wednesdays too, they know that I do for the fellowship I don't attend their program, I go to my church. You get. And then, for instance, when there are now other programs, maybe there are videos and all of that, I consider it. If I realize that no, I'm unable to go for this video, I can decide to pray in my room. And and then I would say that for as many as are led by the Spirit of God, they are the sons of God. I love to go for programs, but I love to go for programs that my heart is connected to. There are even certain programs that I might not have planned, but when I know that God really wants me to go, I go. And if my heart does not go for the program, even if I mean they're talking about it all over, if my heart does not really go for to it, I would not go. Because you need to understand that you need to understand where your blessings are, you need to understand where God wants you to be at particular times. There are times that God even wants you to be reading. If you're in the church at that time, you are wrong. Really. So it's a place of you allowing God to lead you, yes, and being submitted to his will and not just being carried away with religious activity.
There was something you said the other time that stood out for me. You were saying that you prioritize every aspect of your life, literally in uni. And I want you to talk on friendships, like how priorities concerning friendships and how that helped you during university.
Okay. Well, I would say that before, as I said earlier, before I came into uni, I already like knew what I wanted. So I had like planned different stuff. So even for my friends, I had told myself that I would only like make friends when I would get friends that I know that I would be able to learn from and would be able to understand me. So I knew that I wanted a friendship that a benefiting, should I say benefit?
Like
I should
both
not use
sides.
I don't even want to use the word benefiting friendship,
Okay.
but I really wanted a person that I know has more of the same values that I have, right? The same standard, so that at least you can do on the same pedestal. So because during secondary school I didn't have friends, right? So and then I when I came into uni, I realized I could not like make friends with my contemporaries because I feel like these people would even reduce my standard. I mean, they will reduce my values. So I just told myself that no, until I find the right person, I wasn't going to make friends. And I didn't make friends until close to the end of the session. I eventually made two friends. Though yes,
after
though
100 level.
yeah, that was like 100 levels, like second semester 100 level. So though I actually had a madam who was my classmate then. She's actually married, right?
Okay, that's why you guys call her madam.
Yeah. Yeah. She's married, and then another classmate of mine. Well, we are more of academic colleagues, right? And then she was also like a mother to me. But when I talk about friends, I made two at the end of the day, and and it's so funny that the two of them are like way older than me. Like they are way older than me. They were like my seniors. One was in law part 5. As at then, yes, the other was in English education part 3. Then, though she was also elderly, she was also older than me. But there were people that I could talk to, they could reason from my perspective, and they could also talk, and I could reason from their perspectives. And I was just very grateful to have been able to like connect with them because we had values, we had standards, and it was just like, okay, yes, I could talk, you could relate with me and all of that. And then I feel like it was just like we had like the same perspectives, and it was just okay.
Values.
Yeah,
you guys could challenge each other.
So I feel like that basically for me, my values are a whole lot. Once I see that this person does not like respect some of there's certain values that I do not like compromise. So for instance, there were some friendships that I did not make because I felt like if you would compromise in this area, you cannot be my friend.
More like non-negotiables for friends.
Yeah, I had non-negotiables. Once I said that you're not a person of integrity, once I said that you like have a bad mouth, I don't want to be associated with somebody who somebody would now say who somebody would refer to as speaking bad maybe about a lecturer or about so person, and I don't want to like associate myself with such people. Or a person who I know doesn't really have like Christian values. Like once I say that you don't have Christian values, then you cannot like you can't be yoked together, right? So I feel like the friendship for me was very, very intentional. And I feel like one of the things I feel like I should have made more when I was in school, so I've made more relationships. I was able to like still connect with people more.
Maybe like increase your circle.
Yeah, increase my circle. Apart from like having friends, at least having more acquaintances and all of that. I feel like I should have made more. And I feel like even in school, even amidst my classmates, I feel like I should have made I should have been closer with them, right? But I feel like I feel like that was just it. But about friends, I just had my values, I had my standards for friends.
That's insightful because I think it's really just important. Like you don't just pick friends anyhow. You have to be intentional about your friends. You have to look for things you have to look for pointers in friendship. There are negotiables and non-negotiables, like
exactly. So that at the end of the day, by the time you make someone your friend, they do not. Your values not begin to reduce because I feel like when you become a friend with a person, the person must be able to like support you. The person must be able to like talk from the same perspectives. You see life from the same point of view, and then both of you are also like optimistic. Everybody's like working towards their goals, and everyone is just okay and good.
I wanted to ask, there was a conversation we had one time, and you were talking about the fact that there was a time in your life that you actually thought about pausing school.
Yes.
So it was really like, now in retrospect, I could relate to that as a student, as an undergraduate.
Okay.
But now in retrospect, like you came top of your class and you had that idea. Like I think some people might just find it weird to think about that. Really, like people that are up there academically, people think that they might not necessarily find academics challenging in any way. So how was that for you? Because somebody asked me one time that, what if I'm not happy with my grades? What should I do? I didn't. I was like, I told her that, see, I'm having a guest this week, and I'm going to ask her that question.
Okay, if you're not
So
happy with your grades, what
yes,
should you
and like,
do?
how were you able to navigate like that mental space of having been overwhelmed with academics?
Okay, so I think there are two different questions now. I'm going to answer the question of me getting to a point where I said I wanted to like take a pause, and it was really a serious time in my life. And then the other aspect of how to reply or better still how to like respond when you do not have your expected grades. So at that time, I was about preparing for my language immersion program, my French language immersion program, and it was just there was just an holiday, like the Christmas holiday just before then, and I would say that I went through a sort of a very very unpleasant situation. Personally, I like to say that not that I like to say that I consider it as emotional abuse as at that time, and it really affected me. Like I'll say it affected me even psychologically. Like I wasn't balanced, so it affected me so much that I needed to resume on January 3rd, 3rd or 4th, right? And those stuff just, I mean, happened few days to then. And so I just told my parents, I told my mom, and I just told her, I was like, I'm going to have an extra year. I told her.
Wow.
I told her that because then I
was bold.
down, like I was very down.
Oh my God.
I was so down. I mean, and I knew that I needed time to recuperate. I knew that it wasn't a thing. And I told my mom, I was like, I do not have mental capacity to go and face any academic stress right now. Because I knew that if I just go without healing, like without healing emotionally, without healing mentally, I knew that, I mean, it was not just going to work. So I told her, I was like, I want to have an extra year. I was like, because I had thought about it and I just decided that no. Because for me, as at then, I felt like I needed nothing less than 3 months break for me to be able to heal. And then I told her, I was like, I'm not that is telling you, I'm not that will write the letters, I'm not that will do the errands. And I told her that I was ready for it.
Wow.
So
that was like really personal.
yeah, it was very personal.
And
very,
like an emotional breakdown totally.
Yeah, it was an emotional it was I broke down that I could not attend New Year service.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's the only New Year that's the only New Year that I never went to church. Yeah, I can remember. I mean, it was just so bad. Like I was just lying on the bed. I could not do anything. I could not stand. I could not help my parents. I could not do anything. It was very bad. And I'm the person that even when I'm sick, I'm still up and doing.
You're very
like,
active.
You would not know unless I tell you that okay, I have malaria or anything. I was just down. I was not. It was very bad. So I told them. I told my mom, and then my mom told my dad. And with the way I told my mom, she knew that I was actually very, and I meant it. Like I meant it with. I was like, I'm the one that didn't want to have an extra year. And I told them I was ready. So, when my dad heard
I know, like for you to be that serious, a student, like your parents were aware of your grades, your progression, and all.
It was a serious time for me. Wow. I mean, it was a very, very, very serious time. So, I mean, I learned my lessons. I had my boundaries and a whole lot. But then, that was how my dad came, my dad and my mom came, and then they started counseling me, and they were like,
sorry, this is you have almost been just slightly abstract because I'm very careful because I know sensitive matters are very.
I feel like I've used
because I'm like, is it like, because I wanted to like have an idea of the emotional breakdown. Is it like men matter or like just general? Not general. I don't want to generalize your pain now, but like how can you give us like a hint of how it was, and for just to give people a background of what language immersion program is. You're a language person, but
okay.
I think people might not necessarily
understand what language immersion program is. Okay, so language immersion program is basically our year abroad program. You'd have heard people say year abroad.
Yeah.
So in layman's term, I think I'll just say like it's like our H.A.P.I.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. So it is actually done normally for people who have a 4-year course, which is normal standard. It is you always do it in your 3rd year of school. That's just the penultimate year of your penultimate year. So for if you are studying just French, you do you have your language immersion program for the whole session. That's 2 semesters. If you are doing just Portuguese, you have it for the whole session. But if you are combining, you have a semester for a language then the other semester for the other
second
language. Yeah,
still
so
one session, but two languages.
yeah, exactly. So for me, I had my first semester for French language immersion program, that's French year abroad. Then the second semester for Portuguese year abroad.
Wow.
Yeah, so it
That's
was
a lot anyway.
Yeah, and I feel like it affected me more then because I was already mentally tired. But before then, I mean, I was trying to like save money, work, and do a lot of stuff. So I was already very, very tired before I embarked on that journey. I mean, it was a very serious, it was a very serious one, and it really made me understand what lots of women go through in marriages, what a lot of women go through.
So it's kind of
their
like a relationship
families.
matter.
Yes, exactly. So, and then no, I made certain decisions in my life as at then and all of that. So, but I mean, I was able to. My parents encouraged me, and then my classmates were to leave. I think they were to leave. I think the following day or 2 days after. I think they were to leave on Monday or Sunday. I can't remember exactly. And then I had not packed my stuff. It was so bad. I don't pack
Like
my
you were
stuff. I had not gotten.
demotivated. You
Yeah,
didn't
I had
want
not
to.
packed anything. I had not bought anything. It was just a old story. I had not bought anything. So I just stood. I was like, I'm not even ready. So that was when my daddy was like, no, don't worry. Get a coffee, we're going to charter a car for you. I'll take you there. And I was like, really? Like, So they just like rally around. And then he was like, no, all of us just consider us as your servants. So anything you want us to do, just let us know.
I think
and my dad was like,
things like that. In retrospect, you can remind your dad, Daddy, do you remember what he said?
well, just so you know, like,
it was
really
really
serious. And my
wow.
parents knew that I was very, very serious that aspect. So, I mean, they prayed for me, they counseled me, and I mean, they gave me all the support I needed at that time. And I would say that God really helped me, and God really healed me from that pain and hurt because it was a very, very good time.
Yes. So, concerning those that want advice, if they're not happy with it.
Yeah. So, I basically have certain mindsets for myself, and one is that I hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. I do my best. Like I try to do my best as much as possible. So, and then before addressing that, I would like to say that there are different reasons for failure. There are a whole lot. So, but when I fail, or for instance, when I got my worst grade in school, what I did.
What is your worst grade? For a high, I
guess.
Maybe C or B.
Yeah, it was a C actually.
Wow.
So, but it was a lot for me.
Yeah, because I know you wanted 5 points. Because you sound like.
So.
Wow.
So, but the thing is, when I do not do as I want, what I did, I ask what exactly I did wrong.
Okay.
Then I change, and then I try to see if it's something I can correct.
Okay. Maybe reading style or
could be reading. It could be. Now, when I add my worst grade, I had issues with about 1, 2, 3 results. Yes, I had issues with about 3 results. Yeah, I had issues with 3. I was able to resolve 2. I didn't resolve 1. I was able to resolve 1, and I will tell you why.
Okay.
So, for my worst grade, I had that result because I was fearful. I went to the exam hall with fear. I carried fear throughout the semester for that course.
Okay. Was it like they bad-mouthed the course already?
Yeah, it was more or less like because many people even carried over the course, and then when we had when the lecturer gave us an assignment, I didn't do well, so that was already like so I already had my expectation. I knew what I wanted, and then when I said, I was like, oh no, if I go with this score, and then the whole course was just a course of tension and everything and all of that. So I went into the exam hall with fear. I was writing and my hands were shaking. It got to a time I went blank. I cancelled. It was just because of fear. Because it gave us, one of the questions even gave us was a question he had given us as an assignment.
Oh, wow.
So, but I was just fearful. I made a lot of mistakes. After I cried, so I knew already that I wasn't going to do well in the exam. So, and I made up my mind that never ever with anything make me write an examination with fear. When I go to write exams, like I'm going to a classroom and I'm going to just write what's called like a classwork. You get so I just take it as I just know that no, this is just like a part of life. So I don't take it as almighty exam, like and then I've also learned to always eat. I eat before I go to the exam. There are a lot of reasons why students fail. even before I go to the exam, so that if anything happens, your body system will still be coordinated. If you do not eat, if you see the question and the question is not what you're expecting, I mean everything you will have on your head, but you
Oh
will
my
just
God.
like
Yeah.
just fly away. So I tell people, if you want to fast before your exam period. Then some people get sick during exam. You could even be brilliant. If you get sick during the exam and you're not feeling fine, there's no how you're going to write well. Some people do not sleep. For me, I sleep before I go to the exam hall. But when I was in my work, I had slept in the exam hall before and I could not control it. Yes. So some people sleep in the exam hall, some people feel dozy and they are not able to write as they ought to write. The results come out and they do not perform as they ought to, not because they are not brilliant. So there are different reasons. So I actually like try to trace what happened. And then for some people's issue is that they do not read instructions. Some people come out of the exam hall and they say, "Oh yes, most for sure, like they are done and everything." But
Everything
really,
is check,
if you
check,
go
check.
back, I mean, lecturers are the best people to actually say what they actually experienced when they are marking scripts. What's because someone was still telling me, I think last week or so, yeah, not last week or this week, that many of those when you are given a paper of 3 hours and then by 2 hours you were done and you thought you had finished and you got all the answers, whereas you didn't answer like 2 questions. Did you read the instructions well? So at the end of the day, you come out with a B or a C, and then you are saying that they didn't give you, you got it. I mean, and then for me, the same lecturer whom I got a C in school, it took me the following semester and I got an A. So as at that time, I just told myself that no, seriously, fear is not going to make me. I'm not going to write any exam with fear. So I calm myself down. I tell myself, I mean, I'm not the first person that will write this. I'm not the last person, and then I'm going to like do so well. Then so for some people, because I've like I've been through a lot. In part one, second semester, I had it being a course I should have had an hearing. I had a 60 hit.
That's
Now,
painful though.
yeah, it's painful, right? I had a 68 instead of an 84. Yeah. So the issue was that one of my CAs was not recorded. And the thing I do as a person is I keep all my test scripts, my assignments, I keep all of them so that I still have them in my house. So if any well, I mean now I'm already done, but I was like, in case anything happens, I can easily go and photocopy and all. So as I then I did not check my results on time. If I had checked my results immediately it was released, and I saw that I had a 68, I would have quickly gone to fetch my test script, photocopy them, and show them. I would have shown them to the lecturer. So I went, I think, about 2 weeks, and then by the time I went there, she told me there was nothing she could do anymore. I don't know because for me, I feel like there was still something she could have done, right? But I felt like if I had gone earlier, that could have. So it wasn't one of my friends that asked me, like, what was your result? And then I told him, I think I told him I had not checked. And he was like, go and check. And then I realized I got a 60. And I was like, you know what you did was just stupid. And then, first of all, I was angry. I called, he said what I did was stupid. I was like, well, wait, what I actually did was stupid because it was a 4 unit course. Yeah, it was a 4 unit course. So people fail for different reasons. Now, second, part two, first semester, we only did a CA and the CA was about 20. So it also have been doubled. Mine was not doubled. So I got a 17 over 20. It wasn't doubled. And so what did I do? I had kept my script. And what happened? The lecturer, relocated immediately after the semester. So it was even like it was complicated. But what did I do? I photocopied and then I told my HOD then and all of that. Because there are certain things that you can control as a student, but there are certain things you cannot control. You cannot control your exam. You cannot, an examination script is already like the property of the department. So if you are calling for your exam script, you really do not have enough evidence for you to be able to prove that you really did what you did. Because most times, or don't let me say most times, sometimes the fault might have actually been from you. But for your CA and your assignment script, they are your personal evidences. So if anything was made from them, you can easily present them and say, oh, there was a mistake here, there was a mistake here, and the evidence is there and it can easily be corrected. So I went and then he told me that he could not like assure me, but it was eventually corrected. You get so there are different reasons why people fail. So you must actually like know why. And then for some people, I know a person who realized that when she focused more on academics, she did better. But when part one, part two, she felt like she was on first class, and then part three she went into business and her grades dropped. So if your grades drop, or you not get what you actually ought to have gotten in a course, try to analyze the problem. Where was it from? And then try to like see. And sometimes I know that yes, I've just done my best, and this course just like came out like this. So I just know that it's just like that. But most times or sometimes there are certain things that we can control ourselves. I'll just tell the person to, what's it called, really analyze. I mean, sometimes you can just think about, so for some people they might realize that, okay, it's because I'm living in town. That doesn't mean, I mean, the president of my department, for instance, live in town throughout, right? But for some people, when they are in an academic environment, they would do better than having to like go and come. So we just have, yes, we just have different, what's it called, we are different, and then the way we read, the way the strategies we need to like put in place for us to be able to succeed differ. And then there are certain times that you need to sacrifice certain things. There's certain things I did not do then because I wanted my grade. You get, so just about analyzing what exactly caused the not so good result, and then see how you can be better. If you need to seek for help, seek for help. If you need to go for tutorial, go for tutorial. At the end of the day, the results will be yours.
Yeah.
I mean,
regardless of how the process was, good process anyway.
Good process, yeah.
Or,
And then another thing I always tell people is, personally, I hate cheating in exams. I never asked from anybody, and I never told anybody anything. It was just
Same.
it was just a personal principle. And so I'll tell God, God, I am being faithful. Be faithful in my life. Do you get? So I said that I also I just had that standard for myself. So I cannot say that anybody added, nobody's extra half mark or 1 mark made my results.
Or
I
whisper,
had all
nobody's whisper.
exactly. I was like, all my results were just on my own. Because I mean, you could decide to even, some people might decide to even like talk to another person, and let's say I will just catch them and just write -5. That -5 can, let's get a B instead of instead of an A, basically. So there are just different reasons why students don't like come out with the expected grades you also.
Yeah, I think I just want to dwell on this just a little more. When something like that happens, you were saying we should analyze. No, we should. I'm not sure how it's school. Anyway,
but even in
people,
what
higher studies
period,
actually. Yeah, you were saying people should analyze what the problem is, but after that, you were saying that sometimes things happen, life happens.
Yeah.
So please, I just want you to talk a little on that, because the person that came to me, yeah, life happened, but I was trying to like be an encouragement that, oh, please don't be too hard on yourself, because I think sometimes one can be in that stage so much that it might not be easy to move on.
Okay.
So please just talk on that.
I would say that I have an experience just like that.
Okay.
I don't know if this is like the best platform to be able to say that, but there's a particular semester. I mean, I did so well. I put in my best. I put in my very, very best, that when the results came out, in some results I didn't get as much as I wanted. And then I think um some things happened there that, I mean, some people got awarded and all of that. So it pained me. It pained me. I cried. Ah, oh my god. I so cried. At that stage, I think I would always say that it's good that you have a confidence. At that stage, I could not speak to my parents because I know that, I mean, my friends were
They just
expecting
encouraged
me.
you.
No, my friends, I know that I had an expectation of myself. Then I know that my friends also had an expectation of me. So I wasn't even ready to tell them that no, this happened and all of that. So I cried. I mean, it's okay to cry if you want to cry. I mean, I don't want to say that cry is part of life, but I mean, when things like that happen, just crying out. And then I had to also speak with my spiritual father then. And then I just told him, I explained everything. And I was like, I did my best. I worked hard. I feel like I was not that worked. I feel like I was like the most hardworking and everything and all of that. And I just encouraged him, and it was like, left for him that I like got my prize and all of that. So at that stage, I mean, I just left it. I just allowed it. So because I feel like even till now, I feel like there are even some things that happened. Then I feel like, oh, I was not recognized for, or there are certain things that I feel like, no, I had put so much effort in that they weren't actually recognized. It's just a matter of knowing that it's just part of life. For instance, there are certain things I have to just accept that no, these things are just part of life and they're just part of the story, and I just move on. And one of the things that I always do too is that when an exam is over, I forget about the exam, because if you're not very careful, the exam, if you dwell on how the exam was, it would affect the way you're preparing for your next paper. So I just like to analyze. Okay, what has happened? Can I correct it? If I cannot correct it, then I just leave it behind and I just move on. You get, for instance, I mean, for the type of course I said I couldn't like resolve. I mean, I would have done myself bad if I would say that I wanted to like hate the lecturer, because at the end of the day it should have been to my detriment, because I mean I wouldn't have understood any other of our courses. I would have not like been happy and all of that. So I just have to like just let it go. I forgive myself, right? And then I just know this was it has just passed. And another thing I also try to do is that I let the pain of the past fuel me for the future.
I can do better. Something like
So
that.
it's like saying yes. No, it's like you are pained, but then you now fuel. It's like a channeling the energy of that pain, the severity of that pain into you doing more. Like you saying that, okay, I might have gotten a D. So because of this pain, I'm going to now use that to like put in more effort, and in this next course, I'm going to try to get and pay as much as possible. So instead of just staying down, need to just just fuel that passion and say that yes, I'm going to like more or less like you saying that you want to like make up for what has actually happened. Then if you need to like speak out, please speak out. There was a time I felt depressed. That was in 2021. And I mean at that stage I just knew that I have to speak up. I just knew that I have to like speak to, and I spoke to 4 different people at that time. I can still remember them very well. So at that time, I mean, I was going to the library. I wasn't understanding anything. I was going to class. It was just like I was. I mean, in class, I was listening. I wasn't understanding. Nothing was entering my head. So that's it. I knew that no, I didn't have a problem. So I just had to. I spoke with 4 people, and I mean, I was able to like really encourage myself again, and I just picked up myself, and I mean, I continued. So it's just there are times that I mean, at the end of the day, you just still need to just sit back and then still just feel your passion. And then I would also say that it's good to like graduate to the best grade possible. But even if you're not able to like graduate to the best grade possible, you need to still find how you're going to be successful despite whatever grade you have graduated with. Because it's good to graduate in first class, but a first class does not automatically guarantee life success. There are people who graduated with a third class and who like are doing so well. But the thing is that those type of people, they it's what just like what I said, it's like they fueled their pain into their success. So they are like they are trying to say that okay, yes, even though I might have graduated with a third class, so I have to like make up for this that I have done. So they take extra courses, they go the extra mile, they try to like apply, they keep on applying, they try to like meet with people, they try to like gather more skills to themselves, and then they are able to like do better. Instead of just saying that no, I've
This
graduated
is
with a
all.
third class, and then I mean there's no job in Nigeria, and they just like sit like that. There are so many people that are really doing it. And then sometimes it also makes you understand your strengths and your weaknesses. And it helps you know that oh no, I mean, if this was actually in place, this wouldn't have actually happened. And so sometimes it makes you really understand yourself more, and then it may even like channel you more in the light of purpose, because you feel like, oh, it means that this might actually not be my life. I think I'm more suited to this career. So I feel like at the end of the day, you just need to just encourage yourself and just pray too. I mean, when I'm down, my brother taught me something. He was like, when you're not happy, when things are not going well, instead of you just being not happy or being angry, go to God's presence and cry. Like just channel that experience. Just tell God and just be vulnerable. God, this is happening. Like the tiniest thing, just tell God, God, this is happening. I don't know why this is happening, but I just want you to come and help me. And I mean, God will really. I feel like I mean these are some of the things that have actually like helped me.
The last question I would like to give you, because this has been quite an insightful conversation, I would say. Last question I would like to ask is that in retrospect now, what would you say that you wish you had done? I know you talked about relationships, but like other things, like now, I know school/academics. We talked about spiritual growth as well, church attendance. I wanted to ask you about how you were able to manage all that with your social life. But I think I'll just wrap it up with asking you that how you were able to combine social activities as well, if you had or not, and
Okay.
what, in retrospect, what would you have loved to do
Better.
better? Yeah.
Okay, so if I was able to do other social activities, I mean, at the time I was involved in sports.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, when I was in part 3, I remember then that I had a group of friends who would go like to jog together and all of that. Then in part 4, so when I was like away from a language immersion program, so I mean at the time I was learning taekwondo, so I was going to right. And then I would
Wow.
like always like jog around and all of that. And
Wow.
then in part 5 I started BB basketball, right? Yeah, that I paused because I had a leg injury at a particular time. So I mean, I did that, and then you would always see me go for conferences.
Yes.
So personally, I would always like go for conferences. I was not a party person. I did not like even for my FIB stuff. So I didn't like go for parties. So I'm not really the party type. But I would say that for me as a person, I think it's basically knowing who you are and how you detox, how you refresh, how you get back on track. For me, I love to like do my heart works when I'm down, and they're just like it's also encouragement.
Shout out to you.
I
That,
Thank you. So
I don't know. I think the time will not be enough to talk about the amazing thing you did before you left school in
okay,
health center.
yeah.
But then anyway, oh my god, time is just such a limit.
So
But
so
yeah.
for me, I would say that so that was it basically for me, and I would say that I had a very good time. Then if there were certain things I feel like I should have done, I would say that one of the things I've always like wished or let me have prayed and always worked to, that anytime I'm leaving a place, I'm filled. So by the time I left AU, I feel like there was nothing more for me to do. Like I ensured that I did everything I wanted to do. And I feel like what wrapped it up was the H to 4.0. Now, for instance, when I was away from my language immersion program, and when I was in Badagry, I told myself that no, I was going to like leave a mark. I always want to like leave a mark wherever I go. So I had to do AHT 4.0, 3.0 there. No, was that no 2.0? And it was amazing because I mean, Badagry was so charged. I mean, the academic activity was just so choky. So the day I finished my exam, when I got back from the hall like this, I just dropped my bag. I went straight to the market to go and get art materials. That same night, I started making the art work. Like I was already like I was already like reading over and over. But that's when I see the overnight like and what I think one of my classmates said, wait, you just read that last day, you're still doing like overnight for artwork. And so I finished I think on was that Thursday. I think on Thursday, and then we had the outfit on Monday. So I had like Friday, Saturday, I had to like really work on the artworks and then let them dry up and everything. And then on Monday we had it. So I feel like I did my best and I tried to as much as possible just explore the land. I couldn't like go for excursion during the period, but that same Saturday, that Saturday, I went that Saturday before I left. I went to the beach. I like saw a little bit of stuff. So I was able to like, I mean at that time I knew that I was like I did my best. And then when I was also in Brazil, and I was coming and I had my project, I had speaking engagements all over and all of that. And then when I was done, I remember vividly that a day before I left, I made a video and I was like, I am done. Like
Wow.
so I just felt like
Just like
I
a
had
sense of fulfillment.
yes, I felt like I had
I've
emptied
done
myself.
this.
I felt like
Mm.
all I had it was as regards church, it was as regards social impact, as regards my academics. I mean, I put in my whole best into it. So I felt like I was really, really done. And then when I was on the OAU AAC 4.0, I just think that I was done. And all that things that I mean I also just rounded up during my stay and all of that. I rounded them up. So I think that I was just done. Right. So for relationships, I feel like yeah, I feel like I would have done better. I mean, though I really do not have any regrets.
To round this up, what would you just advise people that are still there now, kind of like word of encouragement, or just to wrap this up.
Okay, so if I'm to encourage you, encourage anyone listening to this, I would say that let purpose fuel you for whatever you are doing. So be purposeful, find your purpose. That alone would fuel you. I mean, and then never leave God. God is at the center of every single thing I do, and I carry him along in every area of my life. Then it's good that you manage your time properly. I mean, I know that you would have read a lot about time management and all of that, but I mean, it can never be cliche. Know how to manage your time. When you need to say no, say no. When you need to double up. Sometimes what you need to do is to double up, not even say no. Sometimes what you need to do is to double your speed, right? So know how to just manage your time appropriately. And then when you need to also seek for help, ensure you seek for help. Be your strongest motivation. And let me tell you another thing. Please have a good vision for yourself. Know, like, picture yourself when you graduate. Like, how do you want to be when you graduate? For me, I had that picture and it was so strong. And so I was always, that vision was just always before me. So irrespective of what I was going through, I didn't really like let it weigh me down, because when I was even in part two, I had some health challenges then that was very serious. But I didn't allow it to weigh me down. I was just focused on what I wanted. And let me tell you, you don't have any excuse. I know that there are always excuses, but I would say you don't have any excuse, because there are people who do not have up to what you have. There are people who are not even, I mean, who are not as complete as you are. I mean, there are people who are even praying to God to be where you are, and they will still do better. So you don't have any excuse to actually not be your best, and do not compete with anybody. At the end of the day, it's your life, right? And everybody has their past, everybody has their purpose. So just find your space and be the best version of yourself. Be what God wants you to be.
So nicely done. Thank you so much once again.
Pleasure being here.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure
Thank
being
you
here,
so much.
actually, and
Yeah.
well done on the show.
Thank you so
I had
much.
a great time here.
I did too. Thank you. So see you guys when I see you. Bye.
Over.